Surprise, surprise, we're back out in the nature. Guys, I think I've gotten literally hooked on hiking and just hanging out in the nature. And this week, Canon Finland ended up sending me the Canon R6 to test out. So I thought, what better way to test out the R6 than to go out into the nature and actually use it in a real life situation. So today's video is going to be comparing the Canon R5 versus the R6, my thoughts on photo and video, and how did it go. And because you never know what kind of bears are going to attack you in the forest, you need to always bring along a friend here in Finland. So I decided to bring my good friend, Yami.
Hello guys.
Thanks for joining me, Yami. It's going to be a great day.
Yep.
So I actually asked you guys earlier this week on Instagram, what would you guys want to know about the R5 versus R6? So in today's video, I'm gonna be trying to answer all your guys' questions. You guys sent in a bunch, so I'm gonna do my best to answer them all. Hopefully it'll satisfy your guys' questions. I am a little bit biased, but I gotta say Finland is a very beautiful country. Right, Yami?
Yeah.
Finland's pretty beautiful?
Yeah, it is.
How would you rate it from 0 to 10?
10.
Well, that's a pretty biased answer because you're Finnish, but...
That's true.
Yami, how are you actually gonna protect us from the bears? Are you talking about... Oh, the gun show. Ooh, guys, look at that. Blueberries in the wild. Here in Finland, we have forests just full of blueberries growing on the ground. It's like money all over the floor of the forest. Tastes delicious too. Just made it to checkpoint number 1. Look at this beautiful view. Private dock in the middle of the lake. Who's built this thing? These are these things that I love about Finland. Who builds a dock in the middle of the forest just so you can go enjoy swimming? And over there, there's actually this huge wood storage and a fire pit made for people just to use. It doesn't cost at all. You can just come here for free. See, Yami's a true Finn. He knows how to do this thing. Look at this. You just gotta saw your own wood and then start a bonfire. What a view. I gotta say, this is probably the best way to end the last days of summer. Hey, Yami, what do you think about Hell Lake?
It's beautiful. Just beautiful.
Why do they call it Hell Lake?
I really don't know. It's heaven.
Heaven on earth right here.
Yeah.
I think the reason why they called it Hell Lake is that so no one would come here. One guy who named it wanted all for himself, so he called it Hell Lake so that no one would come here. Pretty good theory.
Yeah. I buy that.
All right, that is a wrap. Hike is done. We ended off at this beautiful beach. We're gonna eat. All the tests have been done. I'm gonna jump back in the studio and check out the footage, and I can tell you Canon R5 versus R6, how did it do? Yami, show us how you build a fire. Living in Finland, it's a must that you know how to start a fire. You never know when you're gonna need those skills. Ooh, this is gonna be a delicious dinner after a long hike. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed our fun little vlog from our day hike here in Finland. I don't know about you guys, but we had a blast just hanging outside, hiking, and enjoying the outdoors. And also we had a ton of fun testing out the Canon R6 and the R5. Throughout the day, we did a bunch of tests just to see the difference between the two cameras. We tested out the photo quality, we tested out the image quality, we tested out as well the image stabilizer in both cameras. And lastly, we just wanted to see how well did the cameras do in the dark. So we did some ISO testing as well. So why don't we first start with the photos. Here's a portrait shot on the R6, and then here's a portrait shot with the R5. And now here is the photos beside each other, R6 versus R5. And to be honest, I can't see too much difference between the two photos. And I think what you're gonna notice is that the image quality to the bare eye from the R5 and the R6 are gonna be very similar, But then what you will notice is that when you really want to start editing, you really want to start pixel peeping, that's when the R5 is going to have more pixels to work with, just because it is a higher pixel camera. But to be honest, the everyday photographer probably is not going to notice a difference between the R5 or R6. So a lot of you guys were asking on Instagram, you know, can you test out the image quality? Which one is better? Does the pixels matter? And to be honest, I don't really see the difference. Maybe if you're a really high-end retoucher in the studio world, or you're a landscape photographer and you're really editing those photos, that's when you'll start noticing. But for my uses, I really didn't notice the difference between the R5 and the R6. All that I noticed was that it looks really good. All right, now going to image quality. Here is 1080 24 frames per second with the R6. And then here is 4K with the R6. And now with the R5, here is 1080 at 24 frames per second. Here's 4K at 24 frames per second. Here's 4K HQ. And now 8K. That looks pretty dang sharp, eh? You can see as you just go from 1080 to 4K to 4K HQ to 8K, it just gets sharper and sharper and sharper and more detail. Okay, let's compare now the R6 to the R5 side by side. Let's do 1080 at 24 frames per second. And now 4K at 24 frames per second. All right, did you guys see anything? To be honest, I didn't see that much when you're comparing the 4K, but then when you do jump into the 4K HQ and the 8K with R5, that's really when you notice just a sharper, more image quality in the footage. Okay, now let's show off the image stabilizer. Here's the R6 with no image stabilizer at all. Now the IBIS turned on, and now IBIS and digital IS on. And same test again for the R5. No stabilizer on. Sorry for the shakes. Now with IBIS on. And now IBIS and digital IS. In my opinion, the IBIS with digital IS was the best. Unfortunately, when you have the IS on, you are losing some quality of footage, so I probably would just stick to just IBIS alone, because I didn't see that much difference between IBIS and the digital IS. But Canon cameras have definitely come a long way when it comes to image stabilization. One main reason why I stuck to having the GH5 to shoot weddings was because I didn't have a camera with IBIS when it came to shooting with 5D Mark III or the EOS R. But now the R5 and the R6 both have IBIS, which really makes it very enjoyable for shooting video. All right, and now for the low light test. Here is the R5 at 12,800 ISO, and here is the R6 at 12,800 ISO. As you can imagine, that's a very high ISO to shoot with, and the photo was quite noisy. So noisy that I wouldn't personally use or ever shoot with that. But what was interesting, I wanted to see what was it like shooting with the IBIS in low light. So what I did was, instead of cranking up the ISO and having a higher speed shutter speed, what I did was I lowered the ISO from 12,800 to ISO 1600, and then I slowed down the shutter. I slowed down the shutter all the way to 1/5 of a second, which is super slow. Normally without IBIS, this is what the photo would look like. Blurry, not sharp at all. But with IBIS turned on, this is what the photo looked like straight in camera, and this when I edited it. Now that was insane for me. I was really impressed with the low light shooting capabilities when it comes to using IBIS on the Canon R5 and R6. So that was one feature of the Canon R5 and R6 that I'm really excited about, having the IBIS on to be able to shoot in low light situations. Of course, the person that you're shooting does have to be quite still, so you don't want to be doing some crazy fast moving shots. But you know, if you're shooting a portrait of someone or doing landscape photos, it's quite easy actually now to take a photo in very low light situations. So in a lot of your guys' Instagram questions, you guys were asking, which camera should I buy? Should I buy the R6 or the R5? Which cameras are meant for who? And I would say that the Canon R6 is a great camera for photographers who are predominantly shooting photos but maybe do want the option of shooting video. And the pros of the Canon R6 are that It has great photo quality, great autofocus. It has that IBIS so you can shoot in low light situations. The camera is $2,000 cheaper than the R5, and as well it has dual card slots for SD cards, which is really nice because then you don't need to spend all that extra money getting CF Express cards, whereas instead you can just shoot with the SD cards. Now, the downsides of the R6 are that you don't have 4K 120 frames per second, you don't have 4K HQ, and don't have 8K. Now, some of you might be saying, well, I don't need 8K anyways, and that's the truth. I don't need 8K right now either, but having 8K creates longevity to the camera. That's one of the perks of the Canon R5, that camera will last you for a long time into the days of 8K. But definitely a perk of the Canon R6 is now you get full frame 4K, and as well you get 4K 60 frames per second, which is really great. I think for most videographers that's more than enough. So I think the R6 is a fantastic camera. Now the R5, who is it for? I would say the R5 is perfect for people who are hybrid shooters, where you shoot just as much photos and video, or even more video, and this camera is for you. If you have the extra money and you're able to afford the R5, you're gonna get really high quality looking footage. You're getting those high frame rates of 120 frames per second at 4K. You're getting 4K HQ, 8K, and these are things that are gonna really allow you to use the R5 for a very long time. You won't need to update your camera because you're gonna be able to shoot all the way up until 8K when 8K becomes more normal. Now, the cons of the R5 are the cost. It's $2,000 more than the R6, which is a lot of money. And as well, because you have to use CF Express cards to shoot video, you're gonna be dropping $300 to $500 just for those cards as well. Not to mention, it is quite heavy to edit the footage, so you might have to update your laptop as well. So in the end, in order to shoot and do all the editing workflow for the R5, you might have to drop a lot of money. As well, one of the cons is the overheating. A lot of people have been complaining about the overheating. To be honest, I haven't actually ever experienced the overheating yet. Mind you, I haven't been shooting a lot of 8K, but I have been shooting a lot of 4K HQ and 4K 120 frames per second, but I have not once seen the overheating button. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's a style of shooting where I just shoot a few clips at a time, or is the temperature here in Finland. I don't know what it is, but I haven't faced the dreaded overheating situation that other people have faced. So all in all, the R6, R5, both amazing cameras. Once again, if you are a photographer only, I would definitely go with the R6. But if you're a photographer, videographer, hybrid, or you only shoot video, I would definitely go for the R5. If you guys are interested in seeing more footage from the R5, I'll make sure to card up here a video that I created on the R5 just so you can see more real life footage filmed with the R5 camera. And I'll make sure to film more videos with the R6 as well, just so you guys can see more real life footage. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this vlog and this very unscientific review comparison of the R6 to the R5, and hopefully you'll be able to get your hands on those two cameras because I know you will have a lot of fun shooting on them. Once again, if this is the first time seeing one of my videos and you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of this channel and be up to date on the latest videos coming out. Alright guys, have a fantastic week.